We are continuing in the series of ancient temples of Tamil Nadu. This is the fifth, and as I have mentioned earlier, we are looking at temples of North Tamil Nadu now, from Kanchipuram, in Kanchipuram, and from there the roads, the arteries that lead to Uttaramerur, to Cheyyar, and to Vandavasi, around those places, and maybe a little beyond as well. So now we are going on the route from Kanchipuram to Uttaramerur. In one of the previous lectures, I spoke about a temple called Magaral. That's a very ancient temple. In the village next to Magaral, it's a very ancient village called Kavantandalam. There are 3 very old temples, 2 for Shiva and 1 for Vishnu. I'm first showing you, these are all very small temples, but rich in history. So I'm now showing you the Shiva temple. It's called the Cholishwarar temple. It's like, this is how it looks. Not a very big compound at all. There is no gopuram at the entrance, only a modern arch-like structure just over the doorway. And then we go inside. We are actually going into a temple of the Chola era. This is a temple built in the reign of Rajendra Chola. There are inscriptions in Kavantandalam that say so, even though that inscription which tells you that it was built in the reign of Rajendra Chola is not specifically in this temple. It is in the Vishnu, the Lakshmi Narayana temple that is situated close by. We'll come to that. So, Rajendra Chola ruled from 1012 to 1044, and the inscription says that this temple was built in his 4th regnal year, that is 4 years after he came to the throne, and that was in 1016. So, basically, when we say that a temple was built in the reign of any king, like for instance in this case of Rajendra Chola, it does not mean that the king sponsored the building of this temple. He may have, like he did in Gangaikonda Cholapuram. What we have to understand is, it is dated in his reign, not necessarily sponsored by royalty. So in this case, it was constructed by a person. I'll give you his name later when we come to the inscriptions. And the inscriptions also tell us that the name of this temple was Rajendra Chola Ishwaramudaya Mahadeva. The Mahadeva temple for Shiva, Rajendra Chola Ishwaram Uday Mahadeva, that is today called the Cholishwara temple. At least the name Chola remains to show you that it was from that period, middle Chola period. A temple that is in worship definitely, because you can see the Dwajastambam and all that. But I had happened to go there with a friend, and it was only by chance that we met a person in the village who told us that the temple will be locked. Please go to the house of this so-and-so person, and there will be a lady there who will open the door for you. It is so sad that temples as old as this, which have been in worship for such a long time, are now in a state of such disuse that they are locked most of the time, and you have to go in search of the key to come and ask some person to open it. This was Cholishwara's doing. If we had gone directly to the temple, we would have found it locked and come away. Anyway, he guided us. This lady very kindly opened the temple for us, and her husband had done the puja there in the morning and left for other chores. So this is how this temple looks. Nobody would know that it is a Chola era temple except for the inscriptions that are there over there. This is how the temple actually looks. Some utsavams also take place over here. It's an east-facing temple, and there is an ancient Nandi, Chola era Nandi, that is sitting here and watching over Lord Cholishwara. Very much of the Chola period, but much renovated. These are all the Koshta Devadas. The Deva Koshtas are the niches on the outer walls of the temple, and you have Ganesha here. That is the order that we have. If it's an east-facing temple, you have Ganesha, you have Dakshinamurti. On the rear wall, you have Vishnu. Sometimes in the place of Vishnu. In the earlier temples, it's Vishnu. In some later periods, it's Lingodbhava Murti, that is Shiva with Vishnu going down in the form of a boar and trying to find his feet, and Brahma going up in the form of a Hamsa, a swan, trying to find the top of his head. Then you have Vishnu in that order: Ganesha, Dakshinamurti, Vishnu, or Lingodbhava Murti. Then you have Brahma, and then you have Durga as Mahishasuramardini mostly. And here are the inscriptions. They've been literally highlighted for us to see, in all these jarring colors. Believe me, these are all ancient inscriptions. The earliest of these inscriptions in this temple belongs to the reign of Vikrama Chola. Vikrama Chola was one of the very powerful Chola kings. It's dated 1123 AD and registers a gift of land by a lady named Poongamala Chelvi for worship and food offerings to the deity. Now you see, there were not only royal women who gave donations to temples, like the famous Kundavai, sister of Rajaraja Chola, and Sembi and Madevi, aunt of Rajaraja Chola, who gave enormous donations. Common people, ladies, also gave donations. So she gave money for worship and food offerings to a deity. Another epigraph, also of the reign of the same Vikrama Chola, dated 1124, a few years later, records a gift of cash for lighting 3 lamps in the evenings by the same lady along with 2 other women. Dated in the same year, 1124, is yet another stone record which mentions that since there were no endowments for worship and offerings to the deity, the temple manager bought some lands from the Mahasabha. Here I just want to stop and say that in many of the Chaturvedi Mangalams, that is the villages that were inhabited by the people learned in the 4 Vedas, there were organizations called the Sabha or Mahasabha. These Sabhas were the ones that took care of the administration of the village. Every little niggling problem didn't have to go to somebody up above, not to the king, not to anybody else, even to the provincial governor, etc. They were solved at the village level itself. These were called village assemblies. I'm just giving you a brief introduction to the Sabha, and we'll be looking at a lot more information in one of the temples that we are going to be seeing today. So here it says that when there was no proper worship for the god over here, the temple manager bought some lands from the Mahasabha of this village by paying a certain amount of money. So, when there were bad times, there were people who stepped forward and saw to it that the temple functioned well. Another inscription of Kulothunga Chola III, dated 1204 AD, is also seen here. Many of these inscriptions mention the term Kavantandalam, the name by which this village is known even today. So a few other inscriptions give a slightly different spelling. It's Kavyan Tandalam. It was also called Chaturvedi Mangalam, plain Chaturvedi Mangalam. So these are all the inscriptions that throw some light on the antiquity of this temple, otherwise we would not know. Despite the fact that hardly anybody comes here, and despite the fact that there is very little money coming into this temple, the people here take some care in maintaining a temple Nandavanam. Just that little care. And as you go around the Prakaram, there is a Ganesha sanctum. There is another rear entrance to this temple that is hardly used, and this is the Pradosha Murti in worship. Some Pradosham also takes place, and a few festivals, very, very few festivals are also there in this little temple, hidden away in a little village called Kavantandalam. Now we are going to the Vishnu temple over here. It's called the Lakshmi Narayana temple, and if we thought that Shiva temple was old, belonging to the time of Rajendra Chola, this is older still. Though it looks like nothing at all today, it is basically a Pallava period temple, this Lakshmi Narayana Perumal temple. And again, there are some inscriptions here. And one of them mentions that the original name of this deity, you see in many of the temples we go to now, the name is very different. It's not what was there in the Pallava and Chola times. Here it's called Vishnu Grihat Perumanadihal. That was the name of this Vishnu over here. And of course I don't have, okay. So this is how, you know, when you go into a temple with a modern entrance like this, you don't feel like looking at it at all. But if you care to pay some attention to the stucco, that is Sudai, lime plaster, sculptures that are there above, you will understand that these are replicas of the image in actual worship. So this is how Lakshmi Narayana Perumal looks inside. Typical Lakshmi Narayana. Lakshmi seated on the left lap of Vishnu, Vamabhaga. Vishnu holding the Shankha Chakra, right hand in Abhaya Hasta, left hand going around the waist of Lakshmi, like Lakshmi Narsimha. Commonly, this is Lakshmi Narayana. Also an east-facing temple. This is all there is to it. It is even smaller than the Choleshwara temple, which is nearby. Here there is no Dvajastambam even, you know, even that is not there. Instead, you have a Deepastambam, which of course we know was meant for lighting, lighting a lamp on top for illuminating the temple in the evenings, during twilight. So we go inside, and this is how the Vimanam looks, and this is the main image of Lakshmi Narayana Perumal, which I was able to photograph. And look at all the modernization that has happened inside a originally Pallava era sanctum. So many inscriptions are seen on the outer walls, and here luckily some of them are not painted. And the earliest inscription here is of a Pallava king called Kampavarman. We don't hear of the name of Kampavarman, never in schools have we been taught. Kampavarman was one of the last Pallava kings. Kampavarman and Aparajita were among the very last Pallava kings, belongs to the 9th century. Again, it talks about the administrative organization, the Sabha of this village. It also talks about the Chittirai Thiruvonam festival for God Peruman Adigal. Then there are usual Alvars and Acharyas, Ramanujacharya, some of the Alvars in this temple. This is not a Divya Desham, but this is all you have of the inscriptions over here. This much you have, and very much a Pallava era temple. And there are some Chola inscriptions also, and an inscription here talks about the construction of that Choleshwara temple nearby in the reign of Rajendra Chola. So right opposite this temple is a small sanctum for Hanuman, a modern, very modern structure. This Kavantandalam is situated literally on the banks of the river Chayyar. If Chayyar overflows, it will come into this temple, which is the Kashi Vishwanatha temple. Again, I have absolutely no doubt that this was a very ancient shrine. Unfortunately, it fell on very bad days. I was told that it is completely dilapidated and it has been put together again. And it now looks like a modern structure, but there are some vestiges of antiquity over here, and the goddess here is called, obviously if he is Kashi Vishwanathar, she must be Vishalakshi. You can actually see that it is built on some rock, and this rock directly slopes down to the river Chayyar. Small shrine. Again, one Nandi sitting over here. It has been completely and totally renovated, but we are happy that an ancient shrine is in worship. That's the river Chayyar over here. Totally dry, of course, unless the Palar flows, the Chayyar will not, and this is how it is. We are going down the road. We keep driving down from Kanchipuram, past Magaral, past Kavantandalam. These are all ancient villages, and we are going to a place called Uttaramerur. Uttaramerur is one of the most important places of the Chola times. Dr. Nagaswamy, the very great archaeologist, scholar, Padma Bhushan awardee, has written a small book on Uttaramerur, where he gives a little bit of information about the temples that are there. There are a few Shiva temples. There is one Subramanya Swami temple. There are 2 Vishnu temples. Of the 2 Vishnu temples, this Sundaravarada Perumal temple is very large. It was originally constructed in the time of the Pallavas. We believe that it was constructed in the reign of a Pallava king called Dantivarman Pallava. He was the son of Nandivarman II Pallava Malla. We'll come to that history very, very soon. According to Dr. Nagaswamy, in his book on Uttaramerur, he says that the village of Uttaramerur, called Uttarameru Chaturvedi Mangalam, was itself established by Nandivarman Pallava Malla II in the 8th century. So this also is an 8th century temple built in the time of Dantivarman. And before I forget, because I don't have photographs, in Uttaramerur, just behind about a kilometer from this temple, there is a huge lake, a very, very big man-made lake. It's called Vairamegha Tataka. What a beautiful name. Tataka is a lake. Vairamegan was the title of Dantivarman Pallava, in whose reign this temple was built. There are some historians who believe that Vairamegan was the title of Dantivarman's father, Nandivarman II. Nevertheless, it was a title of one of the two, Nandivarman or Dantivarman. It's a huge, huge irrigation lake. And inscriptions in Uttaramerur tell you how well cared for that lake was. It was an irrigation lake, and the village assembly, the Sabha, spent a lot of care on desilting the lake and having channels from that lake to irrigate the fields around. No wonder this place was so prosperous, and the river Palar is, of course, very close by. And Pallava inscriptions, stone inscriptions as well as copper plate inscriptions, give a lot of information about Aries, these artificial lakes that were made. There is one called Chitramegha Tataka, then there is this Vairamegha Tataka, then there is one in Mahendravadi. So there are lots of Tatakas, lots of even the one in Madurantakam, huge one, originally of the Pallava period. All these were huge water bodies created by the Pallavas, many later created by the Cholas also. So we are entering this very large Sundaravardha Perumal temple in Uttaramerur, very historic. But before we enter this temple, we are going through the Gopuram now. I want to tell you it's a very unique structure. Some of you may have been there, some of you may know a lot about it also. It is a temple, the Garbhagriha, the main Vimanam, that is, in 3 levels. So there is Vishnu on the ground level, there is Vishnu on the first level, and there is Vishnu on the second level. There are many Vishnu sanctums in Tamil Nadu like this, and the most important is this one, the Vaikunta Perumal temple in Kanchipuram, that was constructed in the 8th century by this very famous king called Nandivarman Pallava Malla II, whose son Dantivarman built this Vishnu temple in Uttaramerur. Now, for the first time in the temple architecture of Tamil Nadu, and I might add the temple architecture of India, a temple was being built in 3 levels, ground level, first level and second level, with access by stairs to the first level and to the second level. Not only one flight of stairs, one to go, one to ascend, one to descend. And here in the Vaikunta Perumal temple, you can still use the stairs for going to the first floor, the middle one, but you can't use it to go to that's not there now, top floor. But there is a Garbhagraham on the top floor also. So in Vaikunta Perumal temple is unique in many ways. It is a Divya Desham as well. Tirmangai Alvar has sung about it. I have told you in many lectures earlier that there is this huge discrepancy, huge difference in date of the Alvars between the historians and the traditional Vaishnavites. The historian would tell you that Tirmangai Alvar lived in the 8th century and that he was a contemporary of this Pallava king Nandivarman II, Pallava Malla, in whose reign this temple was built. And probably as soon as it was built, Tirmangai Alvar came there and sang about the glory of the god. That is the version of the scholars, the historians, that is. It is a temple under the care of the Archaeological Survey of India. I am not digressing because we have to understand this to understand the Uttaramerur temple. However, in the Vaikunta Perumal temple, the outer Gopuram, or the base of the Gopuram as we see it today, was constructed only in the Vijayanagara times. Whether this temple had a gopuram or not, we don't know. Surely it would have had one, like the nearby Kailasanatha temple. But this structure in granite is what, this one is what we have today in the Vaikunta Perumal temple, and this is how the main temple looks. And if you are wondering why it is half brown and half white, it's under the care of the Archaeological Survey of India, and some cleaning has happened. Preservation work has happened. That's why it is like this. Now, it is inside this structure that on the ground floor, as you walk in, you have Vishnu in his seated pose. And then you climb up a flight of stairs and go to the middle level, and you have Vishnu in the reclining pose as Anantashayi, here called Aranganatha Perumal. The access to the top floor is not there today, would have been. But when I was a student and a researcher, I had the good fortune of somebody putting a ladder from the middle floor to the top floor. I now realize how risky it is, but I did it then. I wouldn't do it now. I did it then, and I went up and I saw that small Garbhagriha, the topmost floor Garbhagriha is very, very small. And there was a stucco, that is Sudai image, lime plaster image of standing Vishnu over there. So here in this Vaikunta Perumal temple, you have seated, reclining and standing. This temple is extremely well known for its pillared corridor, Pallava lions, and the series of sculptures that you have there of the entire history of the Pallava dynasty. And at one point of time, in Pallava history, there are many in this audience I know who know the story, but since there are many who don't, I feel the need to say this. At one point of time in the history of the Pallavas, in the 8th century, when a king called Parameshwaravarman died, and either he didn't have children or his sons were too young to come to the throne, there was complete anarchy and chaos in the Pallava capital, Kanchipuram. A group of very important people, including some mantris and people called the Ghatikayar, who were people of some important educational institution here, went in search. There was no king on the Pallava throne. There was nobody they could put on the Pallava throne. What were they to do? So they went in search of a distant relative of the Pallavas called Hiranyavarman Maharaja, who was ruling elsewhere. And we don't know where that elsewhere is, really. Some historians also say it could be Cambodia, but we don't know. They went all the way and requested him to become the king. He refused. Of his 4 sons, the first 3 refused. The last one said very willingly, I will come, but he was only a little boy of 12, a pre-teen. So they had no choice. They brought him and they put him on the Pallava throne. So this particular sculpture is supposed to represent the people from Kanchipuram, the important people from Kanchipuram, requesting King Hiranyavarman Maharaja to come to the throne in Kanchi, and it goes on and on. And finally his son comes, and he is the one who built this Vaikunta Perumal temple over here. On the ground level, this is the Perumal that you have seated. Of course, the original image may have been of lime plaster. And then on the first level, you have the Saranganathan Sannadhi. This is there. You can clearly see that it's not a very ancient image. And on the top floor, you have that stucco standing image of Vishnu. This is the Utsava Murti of this temple. Very quickly, now we go to a place called Mannar Kovil, which is near Ambasamudram, near Tirunelveli. This is the Rajagopala Swami temple over here, where for some reason photography is very, very strictly not allowed. So I have only 2-3 photographs to show you. Here also there are 3 levels in the main Vimanam, ground level, middle level and top level. On the ground floor, it is Vedanarayana Perumal, 6 feet tall, and he is standing with Sridevi and Bhudevi. On the middle floor, you have Vishnu seated with Sridevi and Bhudevi. On the top floor in this temple, you have, this is the ground level, and on the top floor you have Perumal again with Sridevi and Bhudevi, along with sages Bhrigu and Maharishi reclining. So in the Vaikunta Perumal temple, he is seated, reclining, standing. Here he is standing, seated, reclining. All right, so this is the Mannar Kovil Rajagopala Swami temple. Then we go to the Kudal Azhagar temple in Madurai, not to be confused with the Kal Azhagar temple, Thirumalurunjolai, close to Madurai. There is a constant confusion among people who go there. So this is the Kudal Azhagar temple. Incidentally, I forgot to tell you that Mannar Kovil temple is not a Divya Desham. The Alvars did not go there and sing about the praise, but it is the last resting place of Kulashekara Alvar, one of the Alvars. Now, Kudal Azhagar temple, this one in Madurai, is a Divya Desham. Tirumizhisai Alvar and Tirumangai Alvar have sung the praises of Vishnu over here. And Tirumangai Alvar and Tirumizhisai Alvar over here. And this is how the Kudal Azhagar temple looks. And this is the Vimanam, grand Vimanam. Please understand, these very ugly steps were added later. The Indians had a wonderful sense of aesthetics. The stairs are on the inside, actually. All these ugly things only the modern Indian can do, mind you. It makes things easier, but it's difficult on the eye, if you know what I mean. So here in the ground level, Kudal Azhagar is seated with Ubayanachiyar, that is Sridevi and Bhudevi. Middle level, his name is Surya Narayana, again with Ubayanachiyar, standing. And top level, he is called Kshirabdinathan, he is reclining with Bhrigu, sages Bhrigu and Markandeya. So this is your Kudal Azhagar temple. Here in Madurai, it's a huge Vimanam, very tall, grand, imposing Vimanam with many sculptures on it. Then we go to the Saumya Narayana Perumal temple in a place called Thirukoštuyur. This is a very important Divya Desham, also connected with the life history of Ramanujacharya. Periyalvar, Tirumangai Alvar, Bhudattalvar and Tirumizhisai Alvar have all sung about the God here. Ground floor reclining, second floor standing, third floor seated. So all these permutations and combinations are there. There are other Vishnu temples. I'm just showing you a few with these three levels. I'm sure at the end of this, I'm preempting some questions. I'm sure somebody will ask me, what about the Shattanatha Swami temple? So I can see some nodding. That doesn't come in the category of these temples. This is a very different kind of architecture called Ashtanga Vimanam. So anyway, we are coming back to this Uttaramerur temple, Sundara Varada Perumal temple, and there is a beautiful Pushkarini right at the beginning. We go in through one Gopuram. It's a very vast prakaram. We're going in here, very much in worship, in active worship, not a Divya Desham. We go in through the second Gopuram also. One Mantapam, unfortunately, not in a good condition. Now, what is really different about this main Vimanam, as against the one that was built just before this, the Vaikuntha Perumal temple, is you have Vishnu over here on the ground level, he's standing. You have to go there, me explaining with these words is simply not enough, and obviously I also don't have photographs of the deities in active worship, but you see generally Vishnu with Shankha Chakra like this. Here his arms are protruding right in front, you can see it is like that. And on the ground level, you go in and you worship Perumal, Sundarvarada Perumal. You come out and you want to do a Pradakshinam. There is the pillared veranda. You also have sanctums attached to the outer wall. I'll show it to you on all three sides. And then you climb up to the first floor through steps that are inside only. And then you have a Perumal on the first floor. And then you have three sanctums attached to it on the three sides. From there, from the front of that sanctum, you have stairs going to the topmost floor. There you have only a sanctum for Perumal. So that way, if you see it, ground floor 4 sanctums, middle floor 4 sanctums, top floor 1 sanctum. It's a very unique style of architecture, and it is said that the Ashtalakshmi Kovil in Besanagar is based completely on the architecture of the Sundaravarada Perumal temple in Uttaramerur. You also climb up 3 levels over there, but this is for Vishnu and that is for Lakshmi. This Sundaravarada Perumal temple also has a unique distinction of being this is to do with the Sthala Puranam of being connected with the Pandavas and with Draupadi. That is the temple tradition. So this is how a view of the temple looks from the inside. I took this photo from the middle floor, or from the top floor, I don't remember. So these are the two gopurams through which you come into the temple per se. I have taken this photo from the middle floor. These are the steps leading to the top floor. Okay, they're very, very unique. Of course, this is modern steps once again, very garish. Ground level, these are the pillars that you have over here. And this is how this temple actually looks. It's a very, very beautiful temple. So after worshipping Sundaravarada Perumal temple in the main sanctum, we are now doing a pradakshinam, going clockwise, and we are coming. And you have a small sanctum for, if you can read Tamil, this is Achyuta Varadar. I don't have a photo of the deity in worship. However, there are stairs you can ascend here and ascend here to worship this sub-shrine as you are doing a pradakshinam, and underneath the steps you have this amazing sculpture. So at first I made a mistake. I thought it was Lakshmi being bathed by two elephants, Gajalakshmi. You have something like this, almost like this, in two cave temples in Mamallapuram, one in the Varaha cave and one in the Adi Varaha cave, where Lakshmi is seated on a Padma lotus, but she is not in Padmasana. She is not seated like this. She has her two legs hanging down. Pallava sculptures are very unique. Now this is not Lakshmi. This is Saraswati. Can you see she has a kamandalu in her hand, a water pot, and here she has a japamala, which is what Brahma holds. If you see what Brahma has in his hands, it will be a japamala and a kamandalu. That's what Saraswati also holds. That famous Saraswati sculpture in Gangaikonda Cholapuram, many of you may have seen it, is also like this. I kindly request all of you not to take photographs or not to record this. It's being done officially. It will go on their website. It's a request to you. So here, this is Saraswati with one leg on the pedestal, which is her Padma Asana, meaning her asana, her pedestal is like a lotus, and one leg down with two bhaktas at her feet. And these are two elephants. One has a water pot in his hand. This one also has a water pot in his hand, Kalasha, and one is doing Abhisheka for her. Again, you may have heard me. I know I'm repetitive, but I need to say this for those who have not heard this earlier. When you see those Gajalakshmi sculptures that we have today, either on a gold coin or on a wood carving on top of your door, a Tanjavur painting, etc., you can see the two Gajas, the two elephants, poised perfectly on top of Lakshmi with the water pots correctly there and all that. It's there in our sculptures also, many of them. But the Pallava artists were amazing people, free thinking. They definitely adhered to the rules of the Agamas. Within the purview of the Agamas, they let their imagination run riot. They could do anything within the given rules. Like you have your Arohanam, Avarohanam in music. Within that, you can show your skill, your vidvat with your imagination. Same thing over here. So the Pallava artists show you in those Gajalakshmi panels, as well as in this one for Goddess Saraswati, an elephant holding a water pot directly over her head, upside down. He is pouring the Abhisheka Jala on her head. All right, and Abhisheka is happening. This elephant has his water pot over here. He's securely holding it on one side. As soon as this Abhishekam is finished, this Abhishekam will take place. He will pour water on. So this is going to go in rotation. A very beautiful Pallava. But beautiful. How serene is the Saraswati. It's very nice. And I would also like sometimes we look but we don't see. Look at these makaras over here. Very beautiful sculptures, all of this. Anyway, so this is how we will run into this temple. We'll see Sundaravarada Perumal. Sometimes we won't even notice this shrine. We'll do one production, climb quickly up, but done, the temple. It's not done. we have this, we should see this Saraswati also. This is how beautiful it looks. Even the balustrade sculptures, you see, coming out from the mouth of a yali, they've taken care to make everything beautiful, everything aesthetic. So many inscriptions over here, giving you donations and many other details, all etched with painstaking detail. We are doing a Pradakshinam. On the west side, you have Aniruddha Varadar. This is like that, Aniruddha Varadar Sannadhi. Below this, you have a sculpture of a man and a woman. We can quickly pass it by and say man and woman standing, we don't know who these are, and not interesting also. Or if you pay a little more attention, you could find out some little clues here to find out who they are. So I don't know how visible it is for you over there. There is a kind of a rod-like thing over here. Do you notice? Can you see? Okay. And on top of that, you have one creature. Right? If you want me to zoom, I'll zoom. Just give me. I'm also scared that this may be too much like a class. So here you have something over here, and then you have a creature here. This is like a yali. This is actually a makara. It's an aquatic creature. And there is one god who has a makara dvaja. Who? Huh? Kamadev. Absolutely. Manmata. Full marks. 100%. So this is Manmata and Rati over here. So, you know, you have Garuda Dvaja, you have Nandi Dvaja, you have this Dvaja, that Dvaja. So only if you notice what is behind over here, and then you notice this Makara, and that it is on some kind of a rod, you understand that is the banner of Manmata, and that makes it Manmata and Rati. I understand all of you are thinking that the god of love must look a little better, but I don't know, we'll leave it at that. And of course, he was burnt in any case. So the end is all the corners of this temple have been so beautifully done. This corner, let's not run past it. On one side, you have a beautiful peacock. It's a peacock. And on the other side, you have a makara. Nothing to do with Manmata here. So then, and they both meet over here. What they say to each other after meeting, I don't know, but they're meeting in that corner. Here again you have a mermaid and another one over here. All so nicely done. See, they could have left it plain. What is there? And yet, all this workmanship. Again, another peacock. It just keeps going. And chock full of inscriptions. You can do a pradakshina here. If you do it here, you will see all these beautiful sculptures. You can also choose to walk on that raised thing. One more. This is the fourth on the ground level. Kalyana Varadar. Even though the door was open, I didn't take a picture of the deity in worship because it's not allowed. According to Dr. Nagaswamy here, it says that this is Sage Bhrigu. It goes like that. And here also you have stairs for ascent and stairs for descent, so it doesn't get too crowded. Now we are going around this temple. And I also have to tell you, the main Sundara Varada Perumal temple, it is said was worshipped by Bhima, and he had a darshan over here. And around the ground floor, as I said, Achyuta Varada, Aniruddha Varada and Kalyana Varada, they are believed to have given darshan to Arjuna, Nakula and Sahadeva respectively. Then we go to, there's a separate sanctum for goddess Lakshmi. She is worshipped as Anandavalli Tayar, also called Lokamata. It is said that Draupadi, the Pandava princess, had a vision of this goddess. Andal is also there. Then when you go up, you have Vaikunta Varada, and finally you have the topmost Vishnu over there. Altogether, 9 forms of Vishnu are here, and outside you have a Hanuman Sannadhi also. And this is the temple tank right in front, which I showed you at the beginning. The Gopuram has a very nice sculpture, stucco of Gajalakshmi. So this is how the typical Gajalakshmi looks. And you saw that wonderful Saraswati over there. Sorry, this is repeating. This is a picture that I took from the net. Unfortunately, I don't have photographs. This is the Vairamega Tataka, very low resolution, but you can see how big it is. And the Ashtalakshmi Kovil in Besanagar, almost the same ditto of this Sundaravarada Perumal temple in Uttaramerur. Now, this Uttaramerur temple has an inscription, and very rare, in fact, in India, to find the name of the architect who built this temple. You have it in the Brihadishwara temple in Kanchipuram, the name of the architect. His title was Rajarajan Perunthachan, but hardly ever are the names of architects given. The Hoysala temples in Karnataka give the names of architects and many sculptors as well. But you see, it, for some reason, the names, you can, just a handful you have all over India. Now, in this Uttaramerur temple, so many details are given. And that's why I'm showing you the Pandavaduta Perumal temple in Kanchipuram. I'll just read this out, please. A Sanskrit inscription of the 8th century found in the Sundaravarada Perumal temple in Uttaramerur provides some information about the architect mentioned in this inscription as Takshaka. So today in Tamil we say Tachan. Tachan is a carpenter. It is a changed form of Takshaka. Takshaka would be a carpenter, could also be an architect. Architect Takshaka named Parameshwara, who constructed this shrine. According to this epigraph, I quote, it says, "He who understands the measures and architectural details of this Vimana fully is an expert among architects versed in Vastu Vidya. Asya Lankara Manancha Yata Lakshana Samyutam Yak Kaschidvedi Sakalam Savai Vastu Vidam Varaha." It also says, this inscription, the sun shining as it were, the sun among the shrines, Sri Vastuno Bhaskaraha in this village, and being adored by its name, Namna, and its class, Jatyadina, was built in conjunction with the Agamikas of this village, well versed in agamic principles and practices. Yata Gama Vidaihi Grame Prayogan Vitaihi, by Parameshwara, the architect who hailed from Pataka, a suburb of Kanchipuram. Gives you so many details. It says it was built with a conjunction with the Agamikas of this village, people who knew the Agamas very well. So much has gone into it. Parameshwara, the Takshaka, by Parameshwara, the Takshaka, the architect. It says he hailed from Pataka, that is Padakam in Tamil. That is the place in Kanchipuram. It is one part of Kanchipuram. Today we look at it at Kanchipuram. There are so many small places. Original names are the Patakam, Tupul, Attiyur, etc. These were the places where the different temples were. And this Pandavaduta Perumal temple, see the board, modern board, Tiruppadagam is the original name. This is Pataka, from where that architect who built the Uttaramerur temple came from. But worth visiting this temple also. It is very near the Ekamarnatha temple. Not many people go here. It is also Divya Desham. And the Lord here is 25 feet tall at least. He is like this. He is not made of stone. He is made of stucco. This temple, along with two other Perumal temples, the Yatoktakari Perumal and the Ulahalanda Perumal temple, are all pre-Pallava temples. Can you believe it? They are even they belong to at least between the 1st and the 3rd centuries of the Common Era. That old are the Murtis. Sudai Vigraham, so no Abhishekam is done. Only anointment with Thailam, that is herbal oil, is done. And this is how this temple looks. The Vimanam is so big because it has to accommodate this very big image of Pandava Duta Perumal. He went as the Duta, or the messenger of the Pandavas, to the court of Duryodhana. Duryodhana was hell-bent on killing him. He made a big simhasana for him, and under that he placed a lot of wrestlers, so that when Krishna sat on it, it will break and these people could kill him. But Krishna, being Krishna, as soon as he sat on that simhasana, he assumed his Vishwarupa form. This is his Vishwarupa form, about 25 plus feet in height. and this is the very, very big Vimanam that houses that. This Pandavaduta Perumal temple is also known for this lovely Vigraham of Arulala Peruman Emberumanar, who was an Advaitin, who opposed Ramanujacharya in debate, lost, and then became a Sishya of Ramanujacharya. So his beautiful image is over there. Temple very much in active worship. One of the 14 Divya Deshams in Kachipuram. I'm telling you, Tondai Mandalam, northern part of Tamil Nadu, has so much going for it. We think of the Chola Desham, Kaveri area all the time. I understand there is magic there, no doubt about it. But which other town, tell me, in Tamil Nadu has 14 Divya Deshams and 5 Padal Petrasthalams and many more Vishnu temples and many more Shiva temples which have not been sanctified by the verses of the Alvars and the Nayanmars? That's Kanchipuram. Close proximity, 14 Divya Deshams. No other town or city has this eminence. Anyway, that is Tiruppadagam for you, from where this Alvar came, from where this architect came, sorry. Very quickly running through this temple, since we are here, somewhat Vijayanagara featured doorway, and we are going through this lovely, beautiful, small Gopuram into this temple. Those are Ganga and Yamuna sculptures that you saw there. Washing ourselves in the waters, we go in. The board that tells you how many Alvars were here. Main Vimanam out there, huge Vimanam, and this is how it looks from the back, inside which is Pandavaduta Perumal over here. Garuda looking at us, taking you through this very slowly because sometimes we don't have the time to stand and stare. Many sculptures on the Vimanam, very many forms of Narsimha. Rukmini is in a separate sanctum because he is Krishna. This is Tayar sanctum over here, Gajalakshmi. This is Tayar sanctum. This is Rukmini's Sannadhi. Please notice that some of the stones here are sandstone, some are granite. Many of the Pallava temples in Kanchipuram were built of sandstone. This is the temple tank, sad condition over here. And then we will look at a sanctum for Chakratalvar, Sudarshana, the personification of the weapon of Vishnu, and some very, very important inscriptions over here. Alvars call it Tiruppadagam, inscriptions call it Padagam, Pataka in Sanskrit, and a great architect lived over here. Going back to Uttaramerur now, we are going to a small temple called the Vaikunta Perumal. This is not Gundu and all, it's Vaikunta Perumal temple over here. The mistakes we make, it's just terrible. And again, you can see that it is under the care of the Archaeological Survey of India, so this must be very important. If you read this when you go there, you will actually understand the importance. Even the gate bears ASI, so protected is it. So this is the Vaikunta Perumal temple. We are not going here to worship Vishnu. The sanctum inside, this is the Vimanam, is closed most times. It's open only perhaps for an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening, and that is not the main highlight of this temple at all. I had spoken to you earlier of an organization called the Sabha in Chaturvedi Mangalam. Here in Uttaramerur was one of the most important sabhas. Almost every village had it, but here on the walls of this temple, there is an inscription of the time of Parantaka Chola. It would take us many hours to talk about the importance of this inscription. I am just going to give you because this series is about temples of Tamil Nadu. This is not a temple in that sense. It is a temple, there is a Vishnu inside. It was actually a Sabha Mantapa. This is the Mantapa where the Sabha or the administrative organization of this village actually met. During every election, you find the newspapers carrying an article on this Uttaramerur Vaikunta Perumal temple. Dr. Nagaswamy once again has done great service by giving us a lot of information about this. And I would like to quote from him over here. I'll show you the inscriptions first. This is how the Vaikunta Perumal temple looks. Vestiges of ancient sculptures are also here. This is a balustrade. This is how you go up. All around, they're chock full of inscriptions, as you see here. And the main inscription, the attraction, the focus of this temple is a 10th century inscription of the time of Parantaka Chola I. He had the title Veeranarayana, and in his time, the Sabha of this village was functioning in full capacity. And it is said that, I'll just give it to you, I'll just mention this. The village assembly of Uttaramerur, I'm quoting from Dr. Nagaswami's book, mentions they drafted the constitution for election. The salient features of the constitution were as follows. The village was divided into 30 wards. If it sounds boring, please bear with me. Please remember, this is something so important, so vital for India and how India was. The village was divided into 30 wards. One representative was to be elected for each ward. Specific qualifications were prescribed for those who wanted to stand for election. The essential qualifications were age limit, possession of minimum immovable property, and minimum educational qualification. The one who wanted to be elected should be above 35 years of age and below 70. All this is given over there in the 10th century. The minimum age limit was considered essential because those who were entrusted with public administration should have attained maturity by a certain measure of experience gained through age. The upper age limit was prescribed so that the elected person did not perpetuate himself in power even after attaining the age of 85 or 90 or perhaps till death. All right. The minimum property qualification was prescribed because the members elected to the assembly would be administering public property and ought to have had some experience in administrating their own property, and in the event of loss should have security by way of immovable property. It is interesting to see that one should possess half of a valley of tax-paying land. Please note that as early as 10th century, the importance of tax paying as a requisite precondition for election was there. Look at what depth these people have gone. Another interesting stipulation was that he should possess a house built in his legally owned site. In bracket, not in public Porambokku. A man in the street and paying no tax cannot be entrusted with the responsibility of legislation and administration in those days. A minimum educational qualification was prescribed so that the elected member would have acquired the basic discipline in drafting suitable legislation. Besides these, a candidate should be an honest man and should have acquired his property through honest means. Another point of interest is that the candidate should be known for his administrative excellence. Now, the disqualifications are far more severe and illustrative of the great care the Chola society attached to moral values and conduct in public life. Among the disqualifications listed, the one that tops the list relates to rendering public accounts. One who, having been elected to one of the public committees and had not rendered proper accounts at the end of the year, was disqualified from standing for the election throughout his life. Any elected member who accepted bribe in any form was also permanently debarred from the elections. One who misappropriated the property of another was also disqualified. One who acted against the interests of society, that is the village, and was a potential danger to the peaceful life of the village was debarred from election. So I know, and the other Panchamaha Papas also were all debarred. I mean, this is amazing. The members thus elected would serve for one term. Once a person served in any one of the committees, he was not eligible to stand for election for 3 more terms. Okay? And it goes on and on and on. Very, very simple way. This is called the Kudavolai system. All the names were put inside a pot, and a little boy was asked to come and take out this thing. and they were elected, or rather selected, to the village Sabha. You had various subcommittees. You had the Eri Variam. Eri is the tank. Variam is committee. Then you have the Tota Variam, those people who looked after the gardens, or rather whatever, topus, agricultural land. So many committees were there. This then was the India that was there in the Chola times. Okay, so much of, there's much more, but I'm clearly running out of time, and this is the Vaikunta Perumal temple over here. I'm just showing you so many inscriptions written so beautifully, very well incised. They are there still for people to read. Tamil inscription of the Chola times. All right, all this is, and right inside this is Vaikunta Perumal, whom I have not, despite repeated visits to Uttarmerur, have had the opportunity of praying to. It's almost always locked in the manicured lawns of the Archaeological Survey of India. With what remaining time I have, we go to another very ancient temple in Uttarmerur. Actually, you can see this temple from the Sundaravarada Perumal temple over here, and this is the Balasubramanya Swami temple. This again is somewhat modernized, but it's very ancient. And the old name of the deity, as given in the inscriptions, is Subramanya Bhattarar. That is there. Now it is the Balasubramanya Swami temple. There is a Gopuram. There is a tank here called the Brahma Tirtham or the Kundru Tirtham. We all know that Muruga, Subramanya, generally resides on a small hill. You have Kundratur, very close to Chennai. You have Palani. You have so many places. He generally prefers to be there on a small hillock or a hill. Well, it seems like what is called Samabhumi over here. It seems like plain land. This is the rather large tank, but very badly kept. We are going in through the Gopuram over here, and then we are wondering where the Kundru is. Where is the hillock? And incidentally, here you have an elephant, Yana Vahanam, instead of the peacock. But as you are going into the main sanctum, do you see this rock over here, which tells you that this was actually something, it's not a hill, it's a hillock, into which this temple was built, or on which this temple was built. So unfortunately, all old sculptures have been painted over. We are going in through the Gopuram, and this is how the outer prakaram of this temple looks. The Muruga here is more than approximately 6 feet tall, a very, very imposing image with his veil. Again over here, as you are doing a Pradakshinam, can you see another rock over here? So this was somewhat of a rocky place out here on which this temple was built. May have been there from the Pallava times, definitely belonging to the Chola times, but again, hardly anybody goes here. I'm in a difficult situation now. Actually, I have only 2 minutes left for 7 o'clock, and this lecture is to be only for 1 hour. But if you're all in the mood, we'll go to another, just for 10 minutes, a temple that hardly anybody goes to. It's near Vandavashi. It's near a place called Chetpet, near Arani. This is the Yoga Rama temple in a place called Nedungunam. Gunam is quality. Nedungunam, that is immeasurable quality, is the name of this place, taking the cue from Rama, whose qualities are immeasurable. Immeasurable. You have to just read the Valmiki Ramayana or read the concise version, the Sankshepa Ramayana, where all his qualities are listed. The story goes that Shuka Brahmam, sage Shuka, son of Vyasa, and he was doing tapas on a hillock nearby, which is called the Dheergachala, small hillock nearby, and it was his wish to see Rama. And the Salapuranam tells you that on his way back from Lanka, after killing Ravana, Rama stopped over here and gave darshan to Shuka Maharishi without weapons. That's why he's called Yoga Rama here. In the main sanctum, Rama is seated with one hand, left hand hanging down and resting on his knee, and right hand is in Chinmudra, and he is listening to the scriptures being expounded by Hanuman, who sits facing Rama. Therefore, when we go into the main sanctum, you see Rama seated with Chinmudra, see Sita next to him, to his left. To Rama's right is Lakshmana in Anjali Hasta, but Lakshmana holds the bow and arrow. Rama does not hold any weapons. And in front of Rama, that is, when we are here, Hanuman is here, so you can't see Hanuman. He is facing Rama and reading the scriptures, to which Rama is listening with Chinmudra. So if you want to see Hanuman, either you poke your head inside only and see, or the Archaka shows you a mirror and you can see Hanuman there with a palm leaf manuscript held in both hands, and he's reading it. It's a very Vijayanagara time temple, though the main sanctum may be much older, but you see a lot of Vijayanagara elements. A very stately Rajagopuram is here. So we go in like this. All the necessary features of a Vijayanagara Gopuram are there. In addition, what you find in some Vijayanagara Nayaka era Gopurams in Tamil Nadu, small sculptures are there in the granite base of this Gopuram. You have Lakshmi Narsimha, lots of other sculptures over here. You have Garuda, you have Rama, etc. And then this is Veera Hanuman that you can see. And we slowly go into, these are the sculptures that I'm talking about. We can spend hours over here identifying this. Goddess Ganga, Goddess Yamuna, we wash ourselves in the waters and we keep going in. Very many sculptures. Krishna, Ugra Narsimha over here. And we'll keep looking at all these sculptures of the various avatars, go into the wide prakaram, and then we go into the second Gopuram, and then we see one mantapam over here. We'll come to these mantapams later. And unfortunately, the ground level is slowly coming up, and slowly these sculptures are getting encased in cement. Now, in the main sanctum, Rama is there, the way I told you. I'll show you a photo later. What is very interesting is, around the main sanctum, you have a very narrow Pradakshina passage. You have to climb down a few steps and then do that. So we are doing the Pradakshinam in this very, very narrow passage. And then this is how we go out again. This wall, inside this wall is Yogarama. All right? We go there. Unfortunately, it is very modernized with a lot of granite, etc. The pillars in the mantapa, right in front of the sanctum, you have Narsimha here, you have Hanuman here, Ganjendra Moksham here. Very typical Vijayanagara. Garuda here, another Narsimha, Hamsa, Vishnu, and these are the Utsava Murtis, Vijayanagar architecture, the top part. The Dwarapalakas are huge, awesome Dwarapalakas are here. And then we go into the outer Prakaram. There also you have many sculptures, and this is how it looks. Vintage Vijayanagar over here. The Vahana Mantapa, all the Vahanas are here. The Brahmotsavam of this temple, the annual festival, takes place in the month of Chitrai, starting on Ramanavami. If you all wish, you can go, but the place is really hot. This is the view of the Gopuram from the inside, and I'm taking you all around the temple. We are doing a Pradakshina. This is how it is. And from there, this is the main Vimanam, the two Gopurams through which we entered. This is called the Dirghachala, on which Shuka Brahmam is supposed to have meditated for a vision of Rama. Incidentally, there's a Shiva temple over here, almost always locked. There he is called Dirghachaleshwara, the Ishwara of the Dirghachala temple. Very picturesque, in fact. Then this is the outer Prakaram as it goes. View of the beautiful Gopuram, and again Ganga Yamuna sculptures over here. It's getting a little repetitive. I'm running out of time, so I'll just cut a few sculptures and I will give you the rest over here, where it's really very interesting. So I'm taking you to a mantapa which is called the Unjal Mantapa. It's also called the Kili Mantapa. This is right inside the second Gopuram. This is how this Mantapa looks. Very 16th century, very Vijayanagar. And as you look up, you have a wonderful lotus inside a square, and then you can see a parrot pecking at the petals. All this was carved by somebody lying down and then carving. But if you think this is beautiful, this hanging lotus and all that, and you can see where the unjal is hung for the Utsavam, you can see these hooks over here. So this is very beautiful, but not as beautiful as a place called Tadipatri, which is in Andhra Pradesh. I have done extensively in this place, but I have to show you this Chintala Venkatramana Swami temple in Tadipatri, Vijayanagara times. Look at how beautiful the Garuda Mantapa looks. It's like a chariot, and this place is known for its Ramayana sculptures. You can see Rishi Shringa performing the Putra Kameshti Yaga, etc. Here there is a Mantapa, and if you look up, this is what a lotus looks like, and on each petal there is a parrot. On each and every petal over here. Can you see? These are all parrots. Each and every one of them is a parrot. So this, and there is in very, very close to the Chintala Venkatramana Swami temple in Tadipatri is the Ramalinga Swami temple or the Rameshwara Swami temple. Both are under the care of the Archaeological Survey of India, 16th century, Vijayanagara period, and again on the ceiling, this is what you have. On each petal, there is a parrot. Anonymous sculptor sitting there. Coming back to Nedungunam, in the Yogarama temple, this is another mantapam over here, where the vahanas used to be kept. Each pillar a single piece of stone, each pillar carved so beautifully. And many deities are there. I want to show you one particular one. This is Surya over here. Gajendra Moksham is here. This sculpture. Vijayanagara times they did something very, very nice. What they did was, not in all temples, in many temples, or in many additions to older temples, they carved the main image. So this is unfortunately mutilated, but you can see Yoga Rama here. His hand is hanging down. This arm would have gone here and held the Chin Mudra, and Sita is exactly how she is in the main sanctum. So this is all about the Yogarama temple, just to show that a specimen sculpture of exactly how the main image is here. For a moment, taking you to Thiruvidandai on the ECR, the Nitya Kalyana Perumal temple. Sorry, this is Yogarama. The slides got a little this thing. So Rama sits like this. Can you see the arm hanging down? This is the Chin Mudra. This is Sita next to him. Lakshmana standing in Anjali Hasta, but with the bow and arrow. And in that little sculpture in that mantapa, Lakshmana was left out because there's not enough space, and only Rama and Sita were there. Anyway, coming to Thiruvidandai, this is how the main image looks. This is Varaha, Bhuvaraha, Nitya Kalyana Perumal, Utsava Murti. You're going into this temple now. As you go in, you come across a Vijayanagara period mantapa, where you have many sculptures, including this. This is exactly how the main image looks. You just saw that one. So that is one Vijayanagara feature. And I'll stop with this for now. We'll go and explore many other regions in the Tondai Mandalam area, North Tamil Nadu, in our lecture next month. If you have any questions, please ask. Thank you. There were some 100 questions in the last session.
You said one thing.
Yeah.
In the Uttaraveru culture, you reasoned that the image is not the Gajalakshmi, but the Saraswati, based on the...
In one hand, she holds the Kamandalam, the water pot that Brahma holds. In the other hand, she holds the Japamala, which Brahma holds. Saraswati generally looks like that.
What Saraswati we imagine is sitting on a lotus, but holding a veena.
That is Ravi Verma's doing. because Ravi Verma's paintings are so famous and they have been made into calendars which we have framed and put in our puja rooms. There she holds a veena. Hardly ever in the sculptures of temples do you see Saraswati holding a veena. We don't have that. Some are there. It won't even look like a veena. It may just look like one small musical instrument in some temples. But most temples have sculptures of Saraswati only holding the water pot and the Japamala, the same thing which Brahma holds. So, unless we know that, we won't be able to identify this as Goddess Saraswati. And when we see the two elephants, we'll immediately think of her as Lakshmi. I also made that mistake. I didn't see it properly.
Ma'am, does Saraswati only have the Yajnaopavidam or Lakshmi also has?
All the goddesses have. Because you're asking, because in Gangaikonda Cholapuram it's shown so beautifully, that is probably the best representation of Saraswati. Exclusively for Saraswati. It's a Chola period temple. It was constructed by Ottakuttar. That veena is kept on Saraswati. It's placed on her.
In Dandeshwaram also, Saraswati is having that.
Where?
Dandeshwaram, Velacheri.
In Velacheri, Saraswati has the Kamandalu and
Veena.
Perhaps a later period sculpture. Is that it? No questions? Yes, please.
Rati and Manmata it's unusual for them in the scene in Asian temples. The connection
Yata Agama Videhi. So they are very much sticking to the Agamas over here. We see Rati and Manmata in many temples in the Vijayanagara period. On their respective vahanas. If you see two pillars, on one side you'll see Manmata, the other side you'll see Rati. You see them especially in the Kalyana Mantapas. So Manmata and Rati's presence are there, but maybe in this place we have not seen it. But then this Sundaravarada Perumal temple is really very different. You don't have those Koshta Devatas like it is. This is very ornate. And at the base of the stairs, you have Saraswati, you have Rati, Manmata, etc. This is planned very differently. No, where the Makaradwaja is there, no, clearly, and very unlikely that the Pallava king and queen would be placed in that place where there should be a. See, one side you have Saraswati, then you won't put the Pallava king and queen there. Not likely.
And Anjaneya facing Raman. It's there in Ramaswamy.
In the Ramaswamy temple in Kumbakonam too, very right, absolutely, you have Hanuman there, but he's playing on a musical instrument. Here he is reading the scriptures to Rama. Almost the same. He is on this side in the Ramaswamy Kovil, he is on this side in the Nedunguram temple. Yes, Nikhil? So his question is, he was under the impression that only royalty gave to temples because obviously they had very large incomes, and the common people, especially women, not having much income, didn't give. But the inscriptions tell us otherwise. These little temples that are over here were not royal temples. And royalty, in fact, had very little to do with them. You don't find any royal donations here. It's common people like us. And obviously, women were also propertied. Otherwise, how would this lady be able to give money for lamp and for the other things that she gave? Obviously, women had money. We have a very different conception today. Yes, please.
I may be mistaken, but in Tiruvellarai also there are like stairs.
Yeah, you're right. In the Pundarikaksha Perumal temple in Tiruvellarai, yes, but not in this not like this. It is a far bigger temple, and this is immediately around the main sanctum from the inner prakaram. I know what you mean, but that is slightly different.
Iskalmero temple, second Gopuram that you showed, it looked more like a Vimana.
It looked more, I expected this question. It's not a Vimanam, it's very much an entrance way into it. The shape is very distinct.
Is it older than the main one? Or?
Definitely older than the main one. The taller Gopuram is later, that inner Gopuram is earlier.
Of Pallava times.
Not necessarily of the Pallava times, slightly later. But yeah, it's rounded like that, which makes us think it's a Vimanam. No, very much a Gopuram. Yes, please.
Inscriptions are so many in that temple. There are so many of them. Are they only in the temple or also in some public places here and there? Would they have been in those days written on a rock? Like these hero stones and
Okay.
that kind of-
Okay, so for those who may not have heard her question, she's saying we saw so many inscriptions on the walls of temples. Would there be inscriptions in other places also, say on rocks or boulders here and there, and on hero stones? Inscriptions on hero stones incidentally are what are called Veerakal. When a person died performing a very brave act, and he died while doing so and saving the village, like from an attack of robbers or from an attack of boars, etc., they carved his sculpture on a stone, and it used to be worshipped. Sometimes some details about that person and his act of bravery was also inscribed over there in the local language, and it was worshipped. Those kind of stones have been found in very many places in India, and they are kept gently on the outskirts of a village, and they are worshipped. And now not in worship, and we find them and keep them in museums. But random inscriptions on boulders, we don't find that many at all. Ashoka did that. His edicts have been written on his pillars and in random places like Dauli in Orissa, here, there, etc. But otherwise, not many. Definitely not many in Tamil Nadu. Random inscriptions you can, but not very many. Yes, please.
But inscriptions, how do you decipher the inscription of
So there are epigraphists, people who have been trained to read these inscriptions, who can. The inscriptions are in Tamil, they are in Sanskritam, they are in Telugu, Kannada, various languages are there in Tamil Nadu. Various scripts are also there. For example, in Tamil Nadu, the inscriptions in the language Sanskritam were not written in the Devanagari script with which we write today. It was written in a script called Grantha. So you have to know Grantha, then you also have to know the language, and then you have to read these, which is why nobody is coming to this subject.
But inscription of the Toda period differs from inscription of Pallava period, inscription of
The lettering, what is called the paleography, the script will change from time to time to time. If someone reads out a Chola inscription to you, you will understand it. But even if you know how to read and how to read Tamil today, you may not be able to read a Pallava or a Chola Tamil inscription, because over many centuries the script has developed and it has changed.
Ma'am, I have heard that Kanchi Paramacharya asked the TN Session to get some clues regarding how to conduct civic body elections.
I have also read about this. This inscription is worth its weight in gold, but I have to tell you, though this is the most detailed inscription about the working of a Sabha, there are other inscriptions in Tamil Nadu. For example, Manur, it's a Pandyan inscription that also gives you some details. Other inscriptions are also there, but hardly as detailed as this. Yes, please.
When you go around this Tirumala temple, you find a lot of inscriptions on the walls.
Yes.
They are of which period?
Many. You have Pallava, Chola, Vijayanagara, so many dynasties. In the Tirumala temple, sir, when you go in a Pradakshina, you see so many inscriptions on the walls. They don't belong to any one king or to any one dynasty. You have a Pallava inscription also, you have some Chola inscriptions, you also have inscriptions of other dynasties, especially the Vijayanagara dynasty, especially of the time of Krishnadevaraya, the 16th century Vijayanagara emperor, who gave so much to that temple. Yes, ma'am?
Okay, the Uttamerur, the Sabha inscription said the village was divided to 30 wards.
Yes.
So how big were these villages?
This particular village was fairly big. This was a big village with many temples, with many streets, etc. And this was a rather large Chaturvedi Mangalam, which in fact is why this inscription is so detailed. There may have been many other smaller villages with smaller committees
But were there so many eligible candidates to contest the elections?
those days.
We have temple modernizing these days. Similarly, I think even Chola, Pallava kings also modernized temples earlier. So what did they do with these inscriptions that then earlier? They just erased or did they
Very
copy
good
them or
question.
erased?
So he's asking, like we modernized temples, the Chola kings went into Pallava temples and did something to them. So the difference here is that they were sensitive to the architecture that was already there. They may have added a mantapa, they may have added a gopuram, they may have added one more prakaram, one more compound wall, but it didn't hamper the older structure. And as far as the inscriptions are concerned, there are many Chola temples which inscriptions which clearly say they have been recopied. That also. And many Chola temples that you see today were changed from brick temples into stone temples. That is also mentioned. Katrali.
But we can find these inscriptions only in the stone temples, no? Earlier also brick was also used.
Definitely.
That's how they used to record the.
They probably, you have a lot of copper plate inscriptions of the Pallava times and Chola times also. So they were recorded on copper plates, cheppedu, which you see in temples, in museums even now. Those also are there. Yes, please. Come on. Ask.
I've heard that even in Cambodia, the similar Vimanam is also there.
Absolutely right. So Hindu culture went across to Cambodia, to Vietnam, to Indonesia, to Thailand, to Laos, all these countries. We didn't fight and conquer them. This went through trade. And the many temples in Cambodia, you have many Hindu temples there, including the famous Angkor Wat temple. And some of the inscriptions over there say they were constructed according to the Agamas. There also.
And I've heard that there are only 2 Vimanas like that facing this side. Other than Vaikuntha Perumal, it's this one I've heard.
In Kanchipuram, the Varadaraja Perumal also faces west and
The sections, the Vimana, Ashtanga.
among Ashtanga Vimanams, only 2 face west and others face east.
But they only 2 face west.
The Vaikuntha Perumal temple and just one more you're saying?
The one more is Angkor.
No. So you see, no. There are many temples that face west as well. Angkor Wat, I agree. Vaikuntha Perumal. In Kanchipuram itself, you have the Varadaraja Perumal very famous temple facing.
Like what I mean is about the 3 floors.
Okay. So the Angkor Wat temple will not fall into this category of Vishnu. It won't fall clearly into that category of this. It was a Vishnu temple, I agree, but not literally sitting Vishnu, standing Vishnu, reclining Vishnu. Wasn't like that. But anyway, I'm so happy. What's your name and which class are you in?
I'm in standard in Srikara.
Oh, very nice. There's a 5th standard student coming here. Very happy. Okay. Yes, please. Another young.
I have a doubt that these inscriptions that were written on stone, why weren't they chipped off by weathering and all? That we couldn't delete it.
Oh, okay. So that's why. And how? Which class are you in? 6th standard. Okay. So makes me very happy. So these inscriptions were written on hard stone. Many times, yes, they have been damaged, and sometimes due to weathering, we can hardly read them. And sometimes, when these temples were attacked, these inscriptions were also damaged. But we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of inscriptions in Tamil Nadu alone. There are in other parts of India also we have inscriptions. Sometimes when there is very little damage, we can read what is there. For example, I have this piece of paper. Suppose just this little part, I pour some water in it and I can't read. I can generally make out what the sentence is. Similarly, if there are one or two words that are damaged, the inscription can be read. But if there is a lot of damage, or if there is a lot of weathering and the script becomes very light and you can't read it, there's nothing we can do about it.
And one more thing, the language and all may change over time a lot. So then how do the people understand and read?
It's a very good question. So she's saying language will change over time. So this is how people are trained to read inscriptions. Another name for inscriptions is epigraph, and these people are called epigraphists. So you have to be very good at language. Suppose somebody is a Tamil epigraphist, he must know Tamil very well. He must also know how the Tamil script has changed over the centuries. He should be able to read a Pallava Tamil inscription, Chola Tamil inscription, Vijayanagara Tamil inscription. That much of hard work has gone into it. And if he is an epigraphist who focuses on Sanskritam, he must know the Devanagari script, he must know the Grantha script, he must know the language very well. There's a lot of very, very hard work that goes into it. In the sun, you have to go and sit in all these temples, and you don't read directly. What they generally, you can read directly, but it will take a lot of time. So I wish I had got those photos. Generally, they put a paper on it. They put water on that paper. It's a special paper. They stick it on the inscriptions. Then they put a special black ink on that paper so that the impression of that inscription will come on the paper. Then they'll take it back to their office and then study it.
And one last thing, when the people invaded India, did they also write inscriptions on the temple walls and all? Foreign languages?
No. Yes. So no. That what kind of invasions do you mean? Like
Like the Britishers, the Mughals and all.
The British really didn't do anything like that. There were some, for example, in Tamil Nadu, we had two very destructive invasions. One when Alauddin Khilji was the Sultan of Delhi in the 14th century. Another time when Muhammad bin Tughlaq came here and attacked. So at that point of time, a lot of temples got damaged, and therefore a lot of inscriptions also got damaged, but they didn't put their inscriptions here. Okay? Nice, very happy.
Grantham is the old form of Hindi.
No. Grantham is a script that evolved around, say, the 7th century. The Pallavas used it, the Pandyas in the south also used it for writing the language Sanskritam.
It is Sanskrit.
Language is Sanskrit, the script is Grantha. There is a difference between language and script. So today, when you write Hindi, you are writing it in the Devanagari script. You don't call it the Hindi script. It's called Devanagari script. That script is the script in which you write Sanskritam also. Okay? In Tamil Nadu, as far as inscriptions are concerned, though they knew the Devanagari script, they didn't inscribe the Sanskrit inscriptions in Devanagari. They etched it in a special script called Grantha. First, you must understand there's a language is different, script is different. So I'm speaking English, and if you were writing it down, you were writing it in the Roman script, not English script. Got it?
Then similarly, how about the Mani Pravada?
So Manipravala is a very special thing, which is very exclusive, almost exclusive to the Vaishnavites. You have Manipravala literature. Absolutely. So it is a combination of Tamil and Sanskritam. And when you see the Manipravala inscriptions, the Tamil part will be written in Tamil and the Sanskritam part will be written in Grantha. It's a mixture. Mani, Pravalam. Mani as in pearls and Pravala as in coral. It's a mixture of pearl and coral.
So there's a combination.
Pravala's Pavaram.
Similar combination of Telugu and Tamil also in some Kirtanas like Shama Sastri?
Not really. Not really. Tamilized Telugu, not Tamil and Telugu. Yes, please.
There used to be Brahmi script.
Brahmi script is completely different. Brahmi script was there throughout India. Ashoka used it in the north and it was there in Tamil Nadu also. That is the mother script. The Tamil that we write, the Devanagari that we write, all that originated from Brahmi. Brahmi didn't die. It changed. It evolved into these scripts.
Actually, this archaeological department of Tamil Nadu during COVID period, they conducted some free workshops online. So there they have explained how it has evolved over the period.
Very nice. Yeah.
Various scripts.
We definitely need more such workshops. Then these youngsters can also join and understand what our culture is about.
We are talking about Chola architecture and the Vijayanagara architecture and Pallava architecture. What about Pandya architecture?
I am now dealing with the temples of North Tamil Nadu. So we don't have much Pandya architecture over here. So when I, over many months, when we go down south to Madurai, I'll talk about that.
But whether we come across a lot of inscriptions in north also, like in Tamil Nadu or south?
Where? In North India?
Because in Tamil Nadu, stone inscriptions very, very prominent. Whether similar inscriptions are there in North Indian temples?
There are lots of inscriptions in North India as well, but we must understand that many of those temples were damaged or desecrated over many invasions. Therefore, the number of inscriptions is also considerably less.
So, well preserved in Tamil Nadu, these inscriptions?
Well, you see, there is a lot of, we don't have heritage awareness. What has, been preserved even after so many invasions and all that, we, the common people, you saw how multicolored the inscriptions that I showed you at the beginning of the lecture were. We are painting over it, we are sticking ceramic slabs over it. In our insensitivity, we are inconsiderate, we don't understand the value of our history, we are doing all these things. So I won't say they are very well preserved, no. I won't say that. If we continue like this, we lose all that we have.
On a comparative scale?
We will lose all that we have if we continue the way we are. I repeat.
Chera King's architecture?
Chera, Kerala, sir. The Cheras were originally in Tamil Nadu, but we don't find much vestige of Chera architecture here.
Grantha looks similar to Tamil.
Yeah.
But I heard that first letter Tamil, whatever the Svargam is there, Kavargam, Savargam, all those things. Because for distinction we have got second letter, third letter, fourth letter. Those letters only will differ in Grantha.
You must understand that Grantaksharam was invented for writing Sanskritam. Whereas the Tamil script does not give you enough scope to write those.
First letter is retained, I heard.
No, yes, that's right. I didn't think of it that way. Correct. All right. Thank you all very much.